AA.
No matter what it is in life that you want, you gotta go out there and get it. Just don't let it come to a sleeper but a dream. Never give up on your goals, stay focused on you. Focus your view, succeed, cause I'm hoping you do. Keep climbing up the ladder, cause the key to success. Go hard and go home, never settle for less. Life is stress, but we gotta deal with it, homie. Send a prayer to the man.
What's up, team? This is Robert Porter with the I Love San Bernardino County radio show on KCAA NBC 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, where we will talk politics, culture, and history. We have a special candidate show today, so it should be very fun. We have Councilwoman Kimberly Calvin in the house from the 6th Ward of San Bernardino, and candidate Treasurer Ortiz from the 7th Ward of San Bernardino, where I happen to live. Yes. And we have the famous Manel Iskander from the Green Shack.
Hey, the Joker.
Yeah. Oh, I just had the Mafia meatball. The Mafia meatball is so yummy. Oh, they put cheese in the meatball, and it's like beef and pork and long.
You're slopping right now, brother.
Good stuff. All right, I'd be remiss if I did not mention our main sponsor here, Max Zaire with Celebrities Bar and Grill. Thank you so much, Max, for all you do. He is also our celebrities, is our standout of the week. Max he needs a hug right now, man. There's some difficult times out there right now, right? Yeah. So it's not easy when you're trying to expand your businesses here and there, right? Yeah. So he needs a hug. And I'm here to give it to him, and I want to say that I want to thank him for all the events that he's thrown at the celebrities. I mean, I don't know if you all know, but people don't have a lot of places that do events here in our city.
That is true.
So he opens it up for them, right?
That is true.
He also starts conversations. Now, people don't always like the conversations that he started, but you know what? A year ago, we were actually talking about the homeless with intent. Now we're talking about a few programs here or there and some money that come up.
Right.
But the people are not talking about it. We are. Right. So Max does do some good things with his loudness here and there, and I want to give him a super big I Love San Bernardino hug and thank you. And that is brought to you by Ben Chavez with First Lineage Site Services. Awesome. Thank you, Ben, for supporting our show for over a year.
Awesome. Thank you.
With the I Love San Bernardino Standout of the Week, right? So we gave awards to people who just deserve them.
That's right.
And it's hard to give awards to just deserve people because like a lot of times you have to give awards to people who are helping you or on your team or have money or whatever, right?
Or the good fish show.
Yeah. I want to be of the people like Dr. Margaret Hill. Dr. Margaret Hill would be like, no, give that award to somebody else because I have gotten too many.
I hear you. That's
right? True. So I'm like, all right, that's how and actually I've done that a couple times, believe it or not.
That's great. I believe it.
But I'd rather give them anyway. So if you have if you guys got ideas too, please send them to me. I like to. Yanni had some good ones last week, so definitely. We can definitely use some suggestions. I go through my face, like I usually pick standout of the week by going through my Facebook or Instagram, but like that's not all this. Well, there's a lot of people that don't do social media that need some love in our city, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of people, truth be told, in the city of San Bernardino that do great things day in and day out. Amen. And so I do appreciate you, Robert, for acknowledging them. There's a lot of organizations that we can continue to live higher. We really do need to do that.
Yeah, and they're like on the cusp of great things, right? And we have the ones that have like the Time for Change Foundation, Kim Carter.
Yep, absolutely.
That have really had success. Project Fighting Chance, Terrible Terry going to the Olympics. I mean, these things are incredible for us.
They are.
When you have the Heisman Trophy winner in San Bernardino.
But you know what? It's not just because they're winners. It's because like I really do see in San Bernardino, not being born and raised here, that like people want to level each other up. They're like, oh, you're from here, you want a chance. Okay, we're gonna all rally around you and we're gonna level you up. And then you see these people grow, including Kim Carter from Time for Change. Like
Manel has done with me for the last 10 years.
Yeah, Robert, lots of people have lifted you up because you like are a voice for the community. You give people a voice, right?
Amen.
And
Good
it's
job.
really hard because when you're in communities like this, they're run by governments, and the voice is the voice of the government. And so now I think what you do is you kind of connect the voice of the politicians and the voice of the people, and you create like a unity voice. And more and more we're seeing like people like Kim, people like Treasurer Ortiz that are trying to be the voice of the people in a political position, which is really hard to do because once you become elected, then all of a sudden you're a voice for the policy instead of for the people, right?
For all your constituents,
That's
right?
right.
So that's not just Dems or Republicans,
hard to
right?
keep it
Well,
real.
I've never been a voice just for the policy, and never will I be a voice just for the policy. I am a voice for the people, and will
Yeah.
always be that no matter what.
Which is very hard to do.
Yes.
Like because
Oh,
of,
yes, and painful.
yeah. 'Cause- yeah.
Tell the truth.
I'm not even
And
a
painful.
Can't grow with that little
pain.
pain. You can grow with that little pain.
No,
It's
no,
part of the
look,
journey.
I couldn't wait to get here tonight because to be able to speak, just on that platform alone. Yes, we do have parameters as elected officials that we have to speak within, but that is not who elected us. The people did, and so if we ever choose to lose that voice, then you've lost. Period. And that is not what Councilmember Calvin is about. And that's
So
I'm
I
just
guess
happy to be.
we could start with one of the main things that the people kind of wondering, like, what do you have planned for your next 4 years?
Ooh.
Before you do
Continue
anything,
to-
you start right in the ballot.
Yes, because what we
nothing will
need,
happen unless you
what
write
we
in that
need
ballot.
for people
Amen.
to do is I need for community to utilize their democratic power, and their power is that they still have a vote regardless of whether or not you see my name there. What you know is that you want me. What you know is that we've been able to do the work together. What you know is that if I'm not in the seat, we cannot continue to move Ward 6 forward or the city of San Bernardino
So Ward
forward.
6, bubble in,
So
Kim
we
Calvin.
must. There's gonna be a little section on the bottom of that ballot, and you're going to bubble in, and then right next to it you will write Kim Calvin. 8 letters. That's it. And we are on then to the next 4
Amen.
years. And in
Amen.
those next 4 years, we will continue to do what we have been able to accomplish in 3. Only 3 years in 1 month. I count down every
I hear
single
you.
day.
I hear
Yeah, I
you.
can tell you.
First housing district in your ward. Come on,
Within
girl.
the last
Amen.
30
You got
years,
that.
3 decades. Actually, it's 4. We have not had any new housing development built in Ward 6. And while you see it happening all over the entire city, and what retail developers have told me and shared with me, well, your median income doesn't change if you're not building and growing out your community. So when you stay stagnant like that, you're only going to keep the same median income that you have.
Definitely.
They need to see that we can support businesses coming into our community, which we can because I drive out of the ward to go get Starbucks every single day, just about, right? So why shouldn't we have one of those? But again, remember, write my name in that space at the bottom of your ballots, bubble in, and then write those 8 letters, Kim Calvin, so we can continue to move forward.
You've got to give her your
And
voice
focus.
and your attention, people, because without you, she can't get to where she needs to be.
I
And
have an accomplishment
yeah,
that I saw in the 6th Ward.
yes,
The State Street extension.
there you
Yes.
go.
That thing was a hassle for us.
Well, actually,
Not being able to go through, it was like,
so there was
all
a
my life.
But look at it
there
now.
was a landowner and a developer who owns the property right across from Arroyo Valley High School. So he probably was one of the very first meetings that I took as a council member. And so when we sat down and we discussed why, what he wanted to bring was light industrial to the ward, to the community. And I was like, oh no, sir. That can't come here. We don't need a warehouse inside of everyone's backyard. That's not what we need. We're a food desert. We have no place to shop. I need another grocery store. We need all of these things. We have absolutely no entertainment, which we're lacking that all throughout the city for kids and youth to be able, families to be able to hang out at. So when he told me that, he was like, well, I'm not going to build anything unless you open up State Street. And I didn't actually know the full benefit or what was the hampering also. So I contacted former 3-time council member Ricky Van Johnson and I asked him, what is he talking about? And Ricky said, in 2006, resolution came down to open up that street. And not only that, rename it to University Parkway. And not only that, the capital improvement plan, that project sat there for 20 years. Councilwoman
that's
Betty
most
D.
of our capital improvement projects.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. No,
Depends
sir.
on who's leading.
It depends on, and it depends on the ward that it's in, sir. So, Councilwoman Betty D. Anderson.
I know
what's
some
that project
sewers
on?
that need a little love.
That is
They've
true,
been deferred
right?
for like 50 years.
So, but a main thoroughfare, it'll be it's the last artery that can be opened up in the city of San Bernardino. In all actuality,
and for people who live in our city, we use those side streets because we don't want to be on the main thoroughfare.
Well, and then when you're wanting to build development in the ward, the gentleman explained, why should I do that when folks will have to get off? Their GPS will tell them, go down State Street, turn on Colorado, make a left on this street, come back around. That's ridiculous when I'm trying to get to a business. Keep it simple. The corridor is open, and that's just one of the first phase of 4. That street is to go all the way to Foothill. And so that's most exciting because we are always talking about
that'll be a main artery then.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what
I
I'm
want to give an
saying.
accolade to Kim because I just want to say one of the things for me watching this is like literally your growth. Like from the time you got into office and what you knew about politics and who you were to the person you are today, just from photographs alone, you can see the growth. Like literally,
Stress will do that to you.
You can see the growth in the way you speak about your accomplishments and what you see in your vision, in your like determination to succeed for your constituents in this next race. Like there is just an obvious growth. If anyone has known her or watched her, you will just see. And
I
most
appreciate
people,
that.
when they get into like a position like that, sometimes the opposite happens. It becomes so overwhelming that they become absorbed in it, and then nothing happens, and they don't know what happened. They're like, "How did 2 or 3 years happen and nothing got done?"
happened?
Exactly, exactly. So you should take that.
I've been fortunate that the doors that I knock on in Ward 6, those are doors of folks who went to high school with my parents.
There you go. There you go.
So it's almost like then letting down your parents.
I
So
hear you.
there,
It's a
when folks say,
different
"Well, how do you stay grounded, Councilmember Calvin?" Is that because I feel like everybody in the ward can spank me. If you don't do what's right, there's that
No, I hear you.
accountability piece there that they know your mom, they know your uncle, they know your aunt, they know somebody in your family, and I don't want to let them down.
Your adopted auntie and uncle. You don't.
I don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
I can't let them down and still walk around with my head
One
held
thing
high.
I would recommend, especially knowing that they have to write you in, is if you guys could put together a video showing that process. I know we spoke of the process over air, but putting together a little video, short little reel or something on how to do that, just to put it out there so people see and know how to support you.
Most definitely. And if you go to www.kimcalvin4ward6.com, you'll be able to see at the website that their direction is real plain and clear. In all of our literature, we're making it very clear. Step 1, bubble in. Step 2, write the name, Kim Calvin.
Yeah, Kim Calvin for ward6.com. You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to volunteer if you want to help her. Sign up for volunteering, and I know she's getting
Make a donation.
make a donation. Absolutely, I think she's even securing free food for her volunteers. So that's a really big thing from the Green Shack
Tacos work well.
and the Green Shack,
and
right?
the Green Shack as
There you
well.
go.
And so we're going to the Green Shack this weekend. This past weekend we went to Amapolos, and they've been great supporters, and I thank them as well as
Great food too.
Oh, yeah.
It always helps.
I miss the taco
50,
bender
60
too, though. I
years.
miss the taco
Oh,
bender.
you're a taco bender guy?
I prefer Amapolos for everything else, but for the pork chili cheese fries,
That's what
I would go
everybody's going for.
That's
taco
it.
bender,
Yeah.
man. And now it's like,
Tacos Aranda's has some good pork chili fries. If you want to try them, have you tried?
No, I haven't.
No?
I appreciate you, Robert, going throughout the entire city and telling us where all to go eat too.
And
I
what
have
about
to-
smash burgers though? Tell us about that,
Give it up for Smash Burgers!
Yeah.
I love Smash
Victor
Burgers.
knows it right on,
It's
guys.
something about that pressed burger that makes
That-
it feel like it's at home, right? It's the press.
I like that
down.
they cook it so quick, and I can get out of there and
Exactly.
go eat it.
What about the tater tots?
Oh, they're good.
I think with the food
Loaded with
agencies,
everything, all the jalapenos.
we had Chubby's at the Green Check in the parking lot during our one of our events, and we had them, right, Devo? I think Devo's in the room at some point, but
They didn't make it, but they did plan to come.
yeah, but I think what's really cool is that we have supportive businesses. Like I
That's
think it's
right.
really great that it's not competitive. That I felt like no matter what event we do or whatever we hold, like businesses join and we're not in competition with each other. We support each other. I think
True
that's really
community workers.
Yeah.
True.
I think that's
Helping
really
everybody.
important.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Shout out for Chubsies, man.
Definitely.
And then they give me this shirt. They always give me a free shirt. So
Definitely.
gotta
I
wear it on
need.
the
Where's
show.
mine at, brother Vic?
Yeah,
Come on, now,
oh
brother Vic.
shoot, maybe I should have said that, man.
I'll pay for mine, bro. I'll support. I want to connect them with Seam. That's what I want to do because Mr. Webb, his family owns 17 McDonald's, and I really believe that Chubsy Smash Burger has the potential of growing for real. So I want to
Like you
connect
put
them.
them out of business.
Yeah.
No.
They're
With
working
the
on-
same
working on a brick and
mindset
mortar.
that Manil just
You
expressed.
know,
they're-
but
they're in
with
the
Chubsy's,
process, yeah.
like when you want a franchise, I think like it's all just about like being able to duplicate your business within the same 30 miles. So if they can open up 3 companies that all do over $1 million a year within 30 miles of each other, like they're all within the 30 miles, then they can get franchise rights. But it does take like 3 businesses.
He's working at getting a brick and mortar over by the old Target.
Yeah,
There you go. So after you get your third business in within a 30-mile radius,
That
It's
shopping
fine.
center could definitely
Oh
use
yes,
some love.
especially a Chubsy's love.
Yeah,
Yes.
that shopping center could
There you
definitely
go.
I don't know if
Used
you
to go
guys
to Round
have
Table
seen
over
them
there.
like at 10 at night or when they're about to close and running out, but that place is always full. Like they got something going on there,
No,
and
yeah.
to actually
Blowing up.
build out of that Amazon warehouse fire, they got laid off after the fire, and it's just
they got a great
they
story.
need to write a
Yes,
book,
indeed.
man. It's gonna be the
Yes,
Chubsy story, right? Like
To-
McDonald's here.
To me, that kind of is like the snapshot of the kind of resilience and entrepreneurial spirit that you find throughout our community, where people may not have certain opportunities, but they're using their gifts and their talents to make a way to provide for them. And a lot of times these things become blessings for our community, such as Smash Burger, Chubsy.
And such as when folks continue to run for
I was just about to say that
offices,
for you,
right?
girl.
Even
I was like,
time
yeah.
after time after time, right?
Yeah,
You know, when
difficulty.
people
She's
continue
like,
to
that's
run.
okay. I'm not on the ballot. I'm still gonna run.
We have a lot of work. We have a lot of work to do. I just hung out with some doctors last night, and one of the puns of one of her jokes was San Bernardino, right? And I caught her. And she looked at me weird, so she knew that it hurt my feelings, right? It did hurt my feelings.
What city is she from? Because we got jokes all day.
She's from another country, but
What country was?
Yeah,
no.
yeah. I was just a little disappointed that she did that to me, but it's all good. But we do have to work harder at getting other places, especially Redlands and Highland and the places around here to stop talking. I'm not going to say the S word. Are you ready? You weren't ready, all right? Yeah. But and maybe try to help a little more instead of hinder.
Well, I think
it
that
feels
means I
bad
think a big
sometimes.
part of that is you have to respect yourself in order for other people's to respect you, and that is we do not exude that by our own. We don't lead in a way that people look at us like. Our residents are one thing, but the government that's sitting out there in the forefront, they're not a good reflection.
Your leadership is
yeah.
a lot for the city. You
And
get good leadership in the
right.
city, then
Yes.
I think your constituents follow, and they come and they follow leadership.
Right, and leadership
I
attitude
think what
reflects
they're-
leadership.
I think where they're getting their stuff is from, basically from gunshot wounds and trauma.
Right. Well, I mean,
That's a lot
Crime
different
reports.
than what you're talking about, right? But we got to do a
Well,
better job of making sure that gunshots and trauma don't make it to that hospital, right?
But that's the thing
Yeah.
but that reality
Yeah.
is a reality, but that reality is dependent on where you live. And so a lot of people talk about we are the second most dangerous city in the nation. But that's if you're where part of town is, and so we don't exemplify the beauty because the good is so quickly overshadowed by the negative. I mean, we talk about State Street expansion. Let's talk about
One
of
bad destroys 1,000
well,
good. You're
we
so
don't,
right.
but we
yeah.
don't celebrate all the good.
Yeah.
So they made it a point
Wait
to
a
make
second, I
sure
do.
you do, but you also are.
But it's not big
it's
enough,
not
I
the
think.
city.
Yeah.
They made it a point not to celebrate the expansion of State Street on purpose, not to glorify what's going on in the Sixth Ward. They're not talking about development in the Sixth Ward
because it's not
It's-
unified. It's competitive.
well,
and that's
and
what I'm
it's-
saying. Look at what happened to Echo Park.
right, but it's
Like, it turned
also
into a great
systematic.
city.
And-
It's an
and-
entire.
I
It's
do-
a system.
I do speak-
on purpose.
as an advisory role for the city, as a
Right.
commissioner. So I do have
Yes.
some responsibility of trying to portray our city government in a positive manner. And
Right.
I hope you have seen my change as I became a commissioner into that role, which is not easy for someone to do
Right.
when you're addicted to how you portray. I like that back and
The
forth,
fire
and
and
I
stuff.
gotcha, and like I know this information. I like doing that too. It's a little buzz, but when I took the responsibility of protecting our city and took that oath, I changed.
Amen.
I'm sick. I'm not going to. I know there's problems. There's systematic issues that have to be dealt with everywhere. But I decided that I'm going to focus on the positive because no one else was really. Now there is some people doing it now here or there. And now I do respect. I do respect what Treasure brings up in there, and Kim Calvin, Councilwoman Calvin. They bring up some important points there, but they also bringing up some good things too lately.
Well,
I've noticed
yeah,
that
but I mean,
too.
like-
you can celebrate the thing, but the truth is if you're not honest with what's happening, because for so long everybody told, I love you always talk about your analogy of the bees and the vinegar with honey. You realize that you catch more bees with honey because in this city the honey is a lie. The honey is the nice, we paved your street but we haven't touched anything else for 30 years. That we did a little bit of investment but we stole half of the money.
Okay,
and so
okay,
you didn't
okay.
get the
Whoa, whoa.
But the vinegar is the truth. And that's the thing, is it's very hard to swallow the truth because the lie is very sweet.
Okay, but
And-
just be
and-
careful with that, because even though if you think it's a lie, I honestly think it's a lot of just lack of direction, or people really knowing what to do, or not a strong enough team. If you get one person elected, I'm gonna say Kim Calvin gets 6th Ward, she's back in, and she's against like other people who do not vote alongside with her or whatever. She doesn't have a lot of voice with that. It takes more than one person to come in. And so I think with our government, what we need is to just elect honest people. And the more that we can do that, they can work together. That's why I'm really supporting Kim. That's why you see me behind her, because I believe that when she's the 6th Ward councilwoman again, she's going to start to tell the people what's happening, not in a derogatory form, but in an informative form. Like, she's going to let people know these are the decisions we're making. People are unhappy about it, but this is what happened, and people can see what actually happens. More people who see what happens, they can start to change this.
But you have to. The thing is that you have to tell them the truth. You have to let them know that they've elected people who are not honest, so that when they see one that is, they can recognize it, because that's not how this city doesn't work that way.
On that segue, I would love to hear why you chose to run for the 7th Ward and what your vision is for the 7th Ward.
I chose to run because the people need a voice. It really has to be about us. And, I have been very strong behind what trying to see where Damon was in his direction, our councilman. And there's nothing there. There's no substance beyond a couple photo ops, a couple small things being, taking care of some lighting, a stop sign. But truly the larger impact of it all, there's such greater need, like specific plans of economic development on Highland and 40th and on East Street. We need real tangible plans that are addressing homelessness, not just shuffling them from park to park. And the people are out here. We've laid out plan after plan after plan, only to have silence on the dais. And when I'm up there and representing, it's going to be like you, it's going to be like Robert, it's going to be us as a collective being a voice. And so our people in the 7th Ward still have hope.
Definitely. I hear why you chose to run. So what is your vision for the 7th Ward? What would you, if you were to win the seat, what would be some of the first things you would do in the first 3 months of being in that seat, or attempt to? We know some issues.
Right.
Everybody got to get on the same page. But if you could implement your vision in the first 3 months, what would that actually be for the 7th Ward?
Immediately, it's going to look like what Kim did. Is I'm going to go look what's on the books. A lot, almost 90% of everything that hasn't been done has already been established and funded and ready to go. And sit with the city managers and each of the department heads and say, where's the street paving? What's the timeline? Where are we at on this? Looking with Highland Avenue runs through 4 wards, Kim's ward, my ward, Sandra, Fred, sitting down with them and saying, let's look at a commercial door specific plan so that Highland is a place people want to come shop. Same thing with 40th Avenue, is the 4th ward, 5th ward, my ward. bringing in a specific plan for homelessness. We're not fighting for a place at Patton where we'll have an opportunity for the mentally ill and the drug addicted to have a place to go and be treated with respect. Building a relationship immediately with the Veterans Center in Loma Linda so that our veterans are given their well-earned resources and taken off the street. Working with Tay Housing, Kim does so much with ACOMA in our youth, and I've been a substitute teacher. Working with the school district, we have zero relationship with them in being able to get our children who are sleeping in cars on our streets out and into safe environments where they can better be nurtured in education. Working with Cal State so that our students who are living, I'm a professor there, some of my students are living in their cars, unable to afford housing, immediately looking for the abilities. The city now has close to $55 million towards an investment towards homelessness. And that's not just people living on street. We are one paycheck away. So it's like, it's really, let's just get to work. It'll be immediately, let's get to work and let's start working collectively.
I did listen, but like that's very similar to what a lot of candidates have been saying in the same seat for the last 10 years.
Right, it's a lot, because
You've
everybody's.
said the exact same thing.
Right, but they don't do it.
But
let me-
let the Cal State part. The Cal State intern part. Oh,
Let me jump in and talk
I
about.
drool over that
Let
idea.
me jump in and talk about something called political will.
okay.
There you go.
There we go, Ken.
We must have the political will to make the change that we want to see. If every other city around us can do that,
Yes,
then San Bernardino has to look inside and say, well, why aren't we? So it's going to come down to political will. It's going to come down to whether or not it's what we truly want. We can say that, but if we don't do that, then it will be reflective.
Right.
We will then be housing for over 40%.
And to do that, once you get on the dais, you have to compromise with the other
Well, a plan.
people, right? That's the main thing,
but
right?
But the compromise
Yeah.
does not come into whether or not we want to house people.
Right.
That's not the compromise.
So those are basically a unanimous
It
vote
has to-
because everybody knows we have that issue.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then we're just talking about the type of project. We're talking
approach.
about how much money we're going to put in the project. But I'm a firm believer of not recreating the wheel.
Right.
I believe that we can look at other cities and do an analysis and see
Definitely.
what they have done, and they have all done something successful. Matter of fact, we even have gone down to San Diego and look what the San Diego Rescue Mission has done with former our interim city manager McNeely and our assistant city manager Eddie Evelyn. So and a couple of other staff members from the housing department. Plain, simple. Right there in front of us. Take the blueprint and run.
Right.
Hey now.
I don't
now.
just believe in coming back home and having these conversations over and over.
Which
and that
is-
is a
which
lot
has
where
been
my
a long
frustration
time, yeah.
it's where my frustration comes in on the dais, and that is usually when you see me just get really upset. Is because we're recreating something or we start over with each new city manager. We don't need to do that. Council is there to establish the policy. Council is there to say, here you go. We want you to create whether it's a permanent temporary facility, or whether or not it is just a permanent facility. We want you to create something. When the staff brings that report back to us, we are then to either vote yes or no
I hear you.
and move forward. Well, when the vote does not come down to what I believe it should be, and that is, we're already in trouble. City of San
We gotta
Bernardino
do
is in
something.
trouble with the state of California because we are not meeting those RENA numbers, and now here we are back again at the point in time count, which means we're probably going to jump up about maybe 500, maybe 1,000 from last year. So when you don't implement,
Did they have
Not
enough
yet.
people to count?
yes, but that's going to take some time before that real number even comes back.
But even
no,
getting
no, I mean-
volunteers was hard this year.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
saw that in like, there was not a big conversation by Max. That was one thing, and then also, I think that thing's fake. I think that
The
point in
RENA
time,
numbers?
that point in time count stuff is just a bunch of fakeness.
It-
I saw so
as-
much problem with the data gathering when I did
agree.
it. that-
It's it's hard because you have volunteers.
Well, then what that then
There's
represents
no way for
probably it's
accuracy
an
on
under
that.
number, right?
Yeah.
The
It's
number
under.
is-
That's
it's-
exactly
it's
it.
Exactly.
not actually what it is.
Yeah.
then,
Exactly
which,
it. It's
which,
an under
which
number.
says even more on behalf of the city of San
Right.
Bernardino,
Something,
right?
yeah.
Because then you can just
Urgency.
imagine what that real number is.
Right. Yes.
But I've been on the dais 3 years and 1 month. We haven't built anything. And for well over 2 years, I've been saying, here's a project, here's a plan. Bringing other community members who work for agencies, who are building housing, who are coming into contact with all these type of plans, and everybody else around us is doing it.
Right.
Why can't we becomes the question. It comes down to political will, NIMBYism.
Yes, we know NIMBY, not
No,
in my
we're right.
backyard.
NIMBYism is
Do we actually want to make those changes? And I'm saying that the people of San Bernardino, the voters of San Bernardino, have to stop and say, we're not taking this any longer.
Here we go.
Right? I understand folks who are irritated with our unsheltered, but we also need to look at, what about rent control then?
Yes,
What about how many slumlords the city of San Bernardino allows?
Come on now, allows.
Oh, let me
That's
tell
the
you,
key
that's
word.
so true. And obviously, you know where my
Allows.
business is.
Allows.
And
The amount of
So we have
times.
a huge homeless reception area. Help is coming to Patton State Hospital. Mr. Ronald's been talking about this for a long time.
Right.
He has gotten so much flack from that area for just. I mean, there's a double security fence around the
It
place.
was for the criminally
Yeah,
insane. What
yeah,
are we worried about?
What it comes down to, it's the NIMBY. It's
Right,
that attitude that everybody wants to help the homeless. Everybody wants to have clean streets. But they don't want to do anything in their own neighborhood.
But see, but that's
to
the
do
thing is they
anything.
don't. They
Yeah.
just don't want to see the homeless. It's not if it was about helping, we've invested over $300 billion as a nation into homelessness. And we're not getting people off the street because there's money in poverty. This city has been built and designed to be a welfare city on purpose because everybody
I
makes
thought that
money
was a
off
joke
of us.
growing up that everyone
No.
always said Pat Morris was the welfare mayor, and it was true. He built a lot of our projects and stuff on that money, and then we had to tear them down because they didn't take care of them.
But that's given root into this. Remember, if 1973 was our All-America year, right? Then no one under the age of 50 has ever seen a prosperous year in this city. Until we declined into complete bankruptcy. Right now we have more money than we've ever had, and we're doing zero with it. My biggest fear is that this $35 million that we just got, they're going to put it in the hands of Charles Montoya, the city manager, and his assistant city manager, who Damon Alexander just said is having a nerves breakdown, can't handle her workload because she was never qualified to be in this position. And this guy is under an investigation for stealing money from his last job. What is it that we're trying to accomplish here? Is it really to solve homelessness? Because that's the issue, is the root, everything that we drive for, everything that we talk about right here at these tables, at Max's, in our living rooms, neighborhood associations, we can never actually get to the solution because we are purposely being stopped at the front. Because that money has to go somewhere, and they do not want it to go where it's
Kim,
designated.
when you were saying,
I believe a year and a half ago it's been since Deputy Director Cassandra Searcy came to us from Victorville. If you go to her website or her social media, you'll see her standing in front of a project that Victorville, a huge project, housing project that Victorville was able to bring forward. And she was instrumental. I mean, instrumental in bringing that project forward. The woman is extremely talented and she knows her stuff.
Yes.
And she's been here long enough to be able to push something forward. And I know what she's capable of, but it's the political will.
That's what I was saying, Kim.
It is not her.
I'd like to add something real
It is
quick.
the political will.
The guy across the street from Amy's house, he just moved in from L.A. and he's starting I think he's gonna sell cars or something on East Street. But regardless, he said something nice to me. He said, I come from L.A. where it is way, way worse than it ever has been here, right where I'm at right now on East Street near the old McDonald's museum. Right? So to me that tells me that we're are hard, but we're not as bad as where some
they
people
have
are.
goals.
Well, how bad do you want it to get?
Right,
exactly.
I can't compare myself. I can't compare myself
Yeah.
to.
But we live here. That's what I'm
But I
saying.
can't
What
I
wanna
wanna say-
it isn't as bad.
But
as
that
it's
can't be.
portrayed,
But that
right?
can't.
That can't be the comparison. They
That
have 2
can't be the
million
com- that
people
can't
in
be
that
the
city.
comparison.
And then
That
that's
can't
what I
be the
want to say. Kim had
comparison.
said a couple things that I really wanted to highlight on. One, she said the voters have to make that change. So the voters can only make that change when good people are running for office.
That's right.
Like you two, right? Now, Kim, specifically, I know Kim very well, and I am a huge advocate of her getting into office because of her authenticity, because of her transparency, because of her honesty, and because of the way she relates to the people, which is everything. So what my hope for this is that not only does she get elected, but she encourages to be the voice for the people and to really show people what's happening. So the right people will see someone like you and say, I can do that. Like, I can do what Kim's doing, and then you'll get more and more elected officials like you.
Well, what
you
they
will
are-
see political will with more people like you in office.
That is definitely
Inspiring.
correct. But what the people also then get to see is this bogus witch hunt of a report that came out as well. And people then get to see that the hard work and the fight and being the voice of the people can also be a very painful place. It could be a very scary place. It could be a very threatening place. But so you have to have folks who are up for that type of challenge.
And what you've just gone through,
and
girl.
what we
Like,
see
she
is
was
that
run over by a
good
truck
folks,
and she's still standing.
good people who want to change will run from that because there's like no way will I be able to survive that or have anyone to try to personally attack me publicly for asking questions about what was in the best interest of the city of San Bernardino. And so, was it painful? Of course it was.
Definitely.
But it's not going to keep a good girl
take you
down.
out. Right.
No,
Take you
it's
out.
not doing that at all. And I'm happy.
It's actually making you stronger, and it's making you like more tolerant to this, and you're going to be able to take a lot more heat as you get further and further.
Well, don't tell them that.
It's
because
better to
they're
get in
gonna
trouble.
be gearing up. They're gonna be gearing up. No, but
It hurt.
what I do want to say here is that
But here's my
political
scar, I
will,
survived
the
it, right?
voters must decide. They cannot continue to take lip service. You cannot continue to allow yourselves to take regurgitated council members or people who have been in seat and you can't see where their accomplishments were. You must begin to align yourselves with people who are running for office that are speaking the language of which you want to hear.
That's right.
And that has to be on issues of what is in best interest of San Bernardino.
Word up.
Yeah.
No matter whether the tone is correct, no matter whether it is, it doesn't sound positive, because check this out. Things that go on and take place behind the scenes are not positive.
Some of that
Yeah.
vinegar that you were
And
referencing.
we
right.
must,
That's
we
right.
must, we must look at those things. My colleagues just voted for this city manager with a reputation of which you wouldn't hire for your business, I wouldn't hire for my business.
Not over my
Nobody else wants to hire,
Never.
not with your finances, right? And those are issues that you must question. You must question those issues, because otherwise, if you take a blind eye to those, that is what you're going to continue to see. You actually then tell them that you're not that concerned overall, because that you cannot take a blind issue to somebody that is in control of your money.
I'm gonna tell you the scariest question I asked myself is, what if we didn't have Kim Calvin up there? What would have been able to transpire and go
push through.
on without her in behind closed doors? With even we watched her in the last council meeting bringing up this talk, because we were going to talk about the downtown, about trying to talk about a meeting that was held where the previous mayor came back and brought developers and all this stuff, and the mayor was trying to shut her down, be like, a point of order, we're not going to talk about this. It's this, like, the burden that watching Kim carry that she has for the last few years of being a voice is just, it's amazing. But this is not for the faint of heart. This is not something you
But
just
she
listen
likes
to.
it, and she's good
Well,
at it.
because
and so
you have to have, but you don't
some
like it
change.
every day, and having someone that gets up the next morning after getting beat down. That's the true heart of what the changes in
Heart of a
San
champion
Bernardino,
right there.
because there is a huge faction of people against what is in the best interest of this community, and they are literally out there fighting it every day.
Like I have been saying since the very beginning, and this was not Juan or Teddy's or any of their ideas. I have been saying since the very beginning,
For a long time,
we need to
Robert's been
break
saying
down the whole project into pieces that we can eat, not a huge giant smorgasbord meal that no one can do. Break it into pieces we can eat, and that thing would already be done. I've been saying that for 10 years.
She has been.
Right? So for me, it's like this turning the carousel on to this huge project every time has been an absolute waste of time.
But it's a
Valdivia
bureaucratic
whatever
nightmare.
all that stuff. Let's break it down into bits bite it, chomp it down.
But we've never
Yeah.
done it correct. You have to remember, every time we
I
ever
like
put
the
it
bonds
out,
I did. The bond, this is interesting to me. Like, we've never gone at that angle. And now
for us to bond, to build, we don't have, cities are not in the business of
Go ahead,
developing.
Kim, I know she wants to
It's
say
not,
something.
it's not what we do. And
Well,
so
well, we've tried the other ways and nothing's worked, but we haven't tried
we
doing
just
a bond
sabotaged,
yet.
but we,
yeah.
no, we just sabotaged a 3-year project. That was done purposely.
That's
We
because
were,
that developing, they
No,
didn't do anything.
no,
they,
no,
they
no,
just
no.
talked all the time.
go ahead, Kim, because you sat on that.
'Cause
So
I
was like,
I'm
Kim was
just
there
like, let's just,
firsthand.
Every time I talk to those guys,
she
they
was
just
like-
Fall back
blew
in
me
the-
hot.
the
and
city
there.
I
withheld
wasn't there.
information
Kim
for
was
over
like
They didn't
a
have
right
any
there,
year.
money
front
or
and
any
center.
power.
That's not,
Well, being that I was the chair
person
of
there.
that ad hoc
Exactly.
committee,
I hear. The mic is
2
yours.
years of my
Did
life
they have power?
wasted.
Did they? Where are they at?
Well, I'll tell you this: in order for them to utilize their power, you still have to have political will.
that's right.
Who's on board with moving the project forward?
I thought they said that they couldn't handle it when it
Well,
came down to
no,
it.
they who? Did you hear that from the developer themselves? No, that's not who you heard that from.
From the second developer that they went after,
No,
that
no,
when they couldn't
no,
handle it
no.
themselves, they went to another
No,
developer.
no, none of that is actually true, Robert. And
That's
this
why I
is-
want her to start telling the
And
truth
this is
to
the
people.
problem.
So
This
what
is
happened?
the.
So
Clarify.
tell me-
This is
Well,
it. She should
I
tell.
don't believe that the
Clarify.
project was sabotaged.
Yeah.
I sat there for 2 years, and I was the one pushing this project forward, and there was nothing on our master task list getting accomplished, not even down to the environmental studies that we needed to do to push this forward.
And that's how I felt every time I spoke with them. Like they didn't have anything, they didn't have no
But
meat
you
to-
have,
to
but
give me.
the developers are not running the show. The city is.
They were
That's-
tasked to do certain things that they didn't accomplish in order for the developer to do their job. So she's saying, hey, you were tasked these things to do. Why is no one taking the initiative? Just
And
because
then when
everyone
you
votes on it doesn't
question,
make
and
it
then
happen.
when you question it, right, then there lies another problem. So I've been on both. I've been in the meetings and I've seen my colleagues be given information that was not correct. And in those meetings is when I would question my colleagues and say, why are you not telling the truth? That is not what happened. Right?
I hear
It
you.
is not what happened. And yes, you can say, well, that's your opinion. Yeah, okay.
Would you,
That
so on a
opinion,
positive
no.
note, what would you like to see happen there? What's your vision?
So basically, I like the plan that was brought to us in 2020, February of
With the
2021.
gardens and all that stuff?
You
So
know
yeah,
what?
yeah.
I like the plan.
Yeah.
And then the developer that they brought in, the Lincoln Group, that Lincoln Group, if you go to the marina in LA, you'll be able to see all of their projects. So it wasn't like we were dealing with some fantasy of a developer.
Right.
If they can do it there, and they had 12 projects going on throughout the entire country.
Yeah.
I thought they were, to me, I
12
thought they were
pro-
just using us
12 projects.
as a, on their portfolio.
No.
12 projects throughout the entire country is
Right.
what that company had going on.
We were slated to present nationwide our downtown redevelopment, and Robert Field, Theodore Sanchez, Fred Charette, Juan Figueroa, John Valdivia, Nathan Freeman. They all sabotaged being able. They did not want this to happen. They wanted to piecemeal this
names out there.
downtown and sell it off for pay to play, to bidder, to political campaign. That has always been. Lincoln pulled out in
I don't
November
agree with that, but I do
of
agree
last
with
year.
breaking it
They
into
came on your
pieces.
show and said it. They
Yeah.
said, we want a bunch of P-bids downtown. We want it. John was already, they were selling this to China. We beat them out of being able to give this to the Chinese corporations that flew Juan and John to China.
Which would have crashed and burned right now anyway. So
Well, it
Right,
wouldn't ma-
exactly.
but a foreign country would have
but
owned
to
our
me,
downtown just
both
like they
crashed
own.
and
Yeah, but-
burned,
Yeah, but
and
they
I-
own
and
the
I
Radisson.
lifted out of
Oh,
it.
yeah,
It's
and,
destroyed.
and I totally agree with that,
Yeah.
right? And just to think, could you imagine how I felt sitting in every one of those meetings, 2 years of my life,
Right.
Having to come to those meetings and nothing, no, and then to tell the people of San Bernardino that we're not going to get anything. I asked the question, posed it of my colleagues, and I'm not going to name his name at this particular moment, but the colleague said, I said to the city manager, what are we going to tell the people? My colleague said to me, oh, just dance around the question, council members, what I've done for X amount of years.
That's terrible.
That's
And,
the
and,
truth.
and
That's
that is,
terrible.
it is.
That's just a seasoned politician, and that's just because everyone's getting like thick skin learning the
It
game,
is,
right?
It is not the way I said.
Doesn't
I don't
mean it's right,
dance,
but
I
that
don't
is the
dance
way what
around
happens.
community.
Yeah, exactly.
I dance with
That's right.
community.
There you
So
go.
I don't
love that.
appreciate that, or even being told that.
But you do like the former plan that we already have, so if we could get another developer, that would be an angle because
Who
I'd love to
knows?
see rooftop gardens and
Yeah.
gondolas going down. All that stuff looks good to me. Okay, now City Hall. Okay,
Yeah.
this has been a big issue. I've been through this whole thing. I couldn't believe that they actually kicked me out of my City Hall that I love to go down there and speak into all the time.
I used to see you there.
26 million or 28 million was the estimate to retrofit it like 5 years ago or whatever.
When I came on the
Yeah.
dais, it was 82 million
Yeah.
to take
Yeah.
care of.
Upwards of 100.
we're
Inflation.
exponentially higher than we were before, right?
What?
Bond.
No.
How else are we
Well-
gonna get the money to fix it?
Well,
Like,
first of all,
is that possible?
First of all, it is a historic monument, right? It is registered as a historic monument, and there are grant fundings. We have never put together a proposal
Right.
to ask any of our elected officials to assist us with those funds to refit or do whatever we need to do
retrofit it,
for our city hall. We have not done that, and the reason why I know that we have not done that is because when I came on the dais, we didn't even speak to our elected officials, maybe other than Ramos, but we did not have conversations going on with, at that time, Senator Connie Leyva, Eloise Gomez Reyes, Assemblymember Reyes, nor Congresswoman Aguilar. I established those three meetings with our city manager at the time because we didn't have any relationships. Well, if you don't have a relationship with your elected officials on the state and the federal level
Advocate
who are
for the
supposed to be
money.
fighting and advocating for San Bernardino in Sacramento and in DC, then what do we have them for?
Right.
What do we vote for? So when you put together then the three of them or the four of them, including Assemblymember Ramos, and you put them together and you say, hey, the city of San Bernardino needs 82 million or whatever the number is to retrofit our city hall so we can get back into that building, then let them help us do that. It is a registered historical monument.
I like that approach because I definitely think, even from a business perspective, a lot of times I can't get things done on a city level and on a county level or a state level.
You're
I have
talking-
connections
Mark
and it
Westwood
helps.
and Tim Prince
Exactly.
they study that building and they know everything about it. So if you meet
Well,
with
we just had a
Mark,
4.7 and it didn't fall.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
Let's go.
hey
Hello?
now.
We just had a
Right.
4.7. How many earthquakes have we had?
They shut it down because they wanted to build City Hall and buy somebody else's
Thank you.
property.
And it took 9 months for them, if you read all the documentation, it took
terrible.
9 months before we were even officially out of there. So
That's
if
right.
there was some urgency in the
I hear
building,
you.
Yeah.
I would have
That
been
was the
thinking that you
case.
were out of
I
there,
hear
you
you.
would have
Yeah.
got
One of
in
the
and
buildings
got
they
out.
moved
I hear you.
into, they had to move right
Right.
back out because
Well,
there was
and
no air.
we're
It was
spending-
such a fiasco.
We're spending $3 million a year renting other
Plus.
spaces, and so look, this whole thing, bonding, is one of the most dangerous things for us.
So you both believe we can get City Hall back?
I think we can, but not taking out a city credit card on the taxpayer's dime for $100 million. That's half our budget.
You see grant.
Look, when Helen became mayor, one of the first, and I just was in a meeting the other day when someone said, "We told your mayor we have about $40 million possibly available for you guys. We haven't talked to her. She hadn't come back. No one's ever said anything." When I ran for mayor, one of my plans was a lease to buyback, where we go to a developer and say, "Hey, we want you to retrofit our buildings." What we do is we lease it back to us, run City Hall, and pay off the debt, never at the expense of the taxpayers. Bonding is one of the ways that we helped lead into our financial crisis and the bankruptcies. Our inability to pay back, and we're looking. You have to realize a lot of the money that we have right now are ARPA funds. These are one time out of COVID. These are not recurring. Measure S, we're not seeing the fruits of our labor coming back and being able to create infrastructure, rebuild City Hall, do everything that we've held off for 10 years, actually 12 years now. So we have, anybody that's telling you, let's go let the city at the same time develop the downtown at a $200 million cost, let's go take out
I took
300.
it more like one or the other.
No,
That's the way I was
Montoya's
thinking
trying to do
Like,
both at the
he's
same
he's
time.
trying to please everybody
No,
right
this
now.
man
Yeah.
has a history, and when people reached out to us from his former cities, they said what this guy likes to do is take out hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayers' fund and move them around simultaneously, because that's the hardest way to track where money goes. And that's why when money went missing and he overspent on a park in one of his cities, they fired him for it. These things are public records And here we are, the city of San Bernardino, with all these major projects. It's like a kid in a candy store, and we are giving him the checkbook. We have to be very careful. All these things we want. Who doesn't want to get back into City Hall? Who doesn't want a beautiful downtown? But when you've only had someone hold a job for a year and a half, and then there's financial issues, where does that leave us? We're the people in all of this.
And it leaves us with continuously making bad decisions.
That's right.
But expecting different outcomes. The community continues to expect a different outcome.
Because we're begging so hard for just something.
But your elected officials and your city manager, you're doing things in the same way, expecting something new.
So bottom line is you need good elected officials.
You must.
So that they make sure a good city manager is in office.
That's right.
Well, you got to have multiple, right? Because the vote was 5-3.
Right.
The vote was 5-3, and so that's not good.
Definitely. I know that we probably have about 6 minutes left. I do want to highlight one of our local events, but just before we jump to highlighting the community events, just you give your last spiel.
Most definitely. Write me in. Step 1, bubble in. Step 2, write. Kim Calvin, 8 letters.
Ward
San
6.
Bernardino, Ward 6. We have got to do this to continue to move our city forward. Please do not be fooled. Do not be fooled by anyone that's going to give you some promises of which they might try to keep. And definitely don't go for any promises of that were already failed you. Do not do that. Let's continue to move forward.
And follow her on her website, kimcalvin4ward6.com. You'll see her calendar, all the events that she's going to be in. You can volunteer. There's lots you can donate. There's lots of interactive things you can do directly on our website.
And all you have to do for me is just bubble me in. I'm on there. But look, if you want change, you have to be about the change. And this is our time. There are no more excuses. There are no more elections. Right now, people are calling for the two people that have been out here fighting for the loudest and the strongest for the city to sit on the dais together. And you have your chance. No more, we didn't know, no more next time. Start voting February 5th, and let's do this on March 5th. Kim Calvin, 50+1. Dr. Treasurer Ortiz, 50+1.
Hey now, beautiful.
You guys did awesome. Thank you very much. You want to
Thank you, Robert.
Definitely. No problem.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys.
Definitely, West Side. Definitely want to highlight the record expungement clinic that we had at Chafee this Saturday. Over 150 plus justice impacted individuals were able to get freed from the mistakes of their past. So often these collateral consequences, over 48,000 of them, double penalize people, right? You've served your time, you paid your penance, you changed your life, but yet you're being hindered from a felony that you may have had in your past or when you were a minor, right? So to be able to be free to get better jobs, to be able to provide for themselves, to provide for their families, to get an education.
And to vote, because we registered some voters this past Saturday I can't vote, I'm a felon. No, yes you can.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
You
and we registered them, and I was so happy to do that.
Yes.
And the look in his eyes was like, I can vote.
The empowerment.
Yes, you can vote.
This empowerment, the hope that you
We
saw.
registered him right there on the site.
There you go. And I know who he's going to be voting for. So. But yeah, so that's one thing that was amazing this past Saturday. I want to say thank you, Robert, for helping spread the word on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry I did not make that one, dude.
That's
I
all
was
right, brother.
painting. I was doing some hard work.
Hey, you got a lady to keep happy, so you got to paint that house, brother. Paint that house.
I appreciate what you've been doing in that angle. It's really important, dude.
Definitely, thank you. And then also I want to highlight the Natural Hair Day that's going to be happening at Cal State San Bernardino this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Brother Lawrence that's leading this wonderful event. Last year it was at San Bernardino Valley College. Go Wolverines. This year is at Cal State San Bernardino. Go Yotes. So once again, February 3rd, this upcoming Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. is a free event. So come out and rep your hair. Be proud about who you are and what you are and all that you bring to this amazing experience that we know as life within the living.
And if I could, I forgot that we do have a forum tomorrow.
At San Bernardino Valley, right?
No, we're not. We are in the ward. We have tomorrow at the New Hope Life Center, 1505 West Highland Avenue, being facilitated by Northwest PAC.
Okay.
And then on the 1st of February, League of Women Voters and Just SB will be hosting at 16th Street Seventh-day Adventist Church. So everybody, please come out.
Awesome.
You'll be able to hear from the candidates and from myself.
Thank you for a wonderful show, team. This is Robert Porter with I Love San Bernardino. Yanni, you rock. And Eric, you rock. And we all out of here.